Not going to college was the best decision of my life. I'm 26 years old, and if I had followed the traditional path of going to college, I would be in over $30,000 of student loan debt right now and struggling to find a decent job like most of my friends who have now graduated from college. But when I was 18 years old, I made a decision that most people around me didn't understand. I decided that college wasn't for me. Not a gap year, not a temporary break. I had no interest in going at all. And for some people, that probably sounds crazy. I come from a family where both my parents went to college and heavily encouraged and kind of even try to force me to go. So was it arrogant for me to say, nah, I don't need it? I don't think so. And today, I want to share exactly why I made this decision and how it turned out to be one of the best choices of my life. So how did not going to college turn out for me? Well, at 18 years old, I was able to use online education to start my career in technology sales, where I made $50,000 a year in my first job. And by age 19, I got promoted and was making $80,000 a year. I was able to save up 35 grand in my bank account with no student loans or any debt. I was then able to leverage the skills I learned from my job and my savings to start a company called Course Careers, which made me a millionaire at age 23. In this video, I want to share exactly how I did this and why I think most people can follow the same path I took. But before I get into that, one of the biggest problems I have with college is almost everything you learn in school is completely irrelevant to what employers actually want. Anyone could go look at job postings right now for entry-level jobs and compare what employers list as their qualifications to what a college curriculum teaches. There's pretty much zero overlap. Not only is that a waste of time and energy to learn things that employers don't care about and don't help you get a good job, but it's not a recipe for success. We live in a specialized world with specialized jobs that require a specialized education, yet college still teaches a general education. It's way more valuable to be really good at one thing than kind of good at a bunch of things. So why would you spend years and thousands of dollars sitting in classes that don't help you get where you want to go? This might sound crazy, but here's the real way to land a high-paying job. You should match your education to job descriptions so you learn exactly what employers actually want. Crazy, right? You can literally use job descriptions as the blueprint for your education. And I mean, it just makes sense. If you were trying to build a house, would you randomly buy a bunch of materials and hope it all fits together? Or would you first start with the blueprint for the house, then work backwards from that to figure out all the materials you need? Well, college somehow decided that it's best to start with the materials, and then it's your job to figure out how it all fits together after you graduate. And turns out that strategy doesn't work too well, which is why so many college graduates can't land jobs right now. What I did to start my career at 18 years old in technology sales with no degree or previous experience is simply look at lots of job postings for entry-level tech sales jobs and then compiled a list of the most common requirements, and that became the blueprint for my education. I just started going down the list and learning everything I could about each requirement. I read every book I could find, watched YouTube videos, took online courses, practiced sales techniques. For a month, I did nothing but learn. Then I applied for jobs and it worked. I landed my first job within weeks. In literally 1 month of learning and a few $100s, I was able to get the same job that most college graduates wish they could get, and they spent 4 years of their lives and tens of thousands of dollars to do so. I felt like I just discovered a giant shortcut in life. I was making around $50,000 per year, which allowed me to move out of my parents' house and comfortably support myself. And while this might not sound like a crazy amount of money, for me it was life-changing. I went from making $12 an hour working at a restaurant learning nothing with no career path to now making more than double that, getting paid to learn sales and being on a career path that will by default make me over $100,000 a year within the next couple of years. And I was really good at my job because I know how to do everything from all the learning I did online. By age 19, I got promoted and was making 5-figure commission checks, selling to companies like Home Depot and Oakley, and I had over $35,000 saved up in my bank with no debt. And what I realized was employers don't care about degrees for promotions either. At the end of the day, employers are greedy and want to promote the people who can do the job the best and make them the most money. If you've proven you're the best because of your experience doing the job, then they'll promote you even if you don't have a degree. Being 19 years old, I was now making around $80,000 a year with no debt and very few expenses. Life was really good. I don't think people realize just how much money that is for a 19-year-old. Compared to all my friends in college, I was rich. I didn't rely on my parents at all. I didn't worry about money at all. Every month, my bank account was getting bigger and bigger. I even bought my parents a 1-week cruise to the Bahamas for Mother's Day. I took vacations to Thailand, Peru, Puerto Rico. And at 19 years old, I even had the opportunity to buy a house because I had enough money saved up for the down payment and I had the income and no debt to qualify for a mortgage. It's insane just how far ahead I was financially compared to all my friends who went to college. I think one of the biggest hacks I learned was that by working for a successful company, I was getting paid to learn the blueprint for how to build a successful company. It taught me how to manage a business, how to hire employees, how to build a software product, and how to sell to customers. I learned the entire blueprint for building a successful tech company because I worked for one. I also realized that my job gave me all the different inputs required to start a business and be a successful entrepreneur that I didn't have when I was first getting started at 18 years old. I now had the knowledge of how to start a tech company. I had sales skills. I had 35 grand in the bank and I didn't have any debt. I even had a network of contacts of other tech founders and software developers who were my coworkers. I felt like I had acquired everything I needed to from working that job to be able to start my own company now at 19 years old. I learned that the combination of having valuable skills, money in the bank, and no debt puts you in a situation where you can take risks others are afraid to, because worst case scenario, you run out of money and you have the skills to get another high paying job. So it's really not that risky. But if you have student loan debt, you can't take those same risks like starting a business, because if it doesn't work, then your debt grows and you mess up the rest of your life. So what was my business idea? Well, I thought other people would probably want to do the same thing I did. So I started a company called Course Careers to help them do that. And I was right. It turns out a lot of people want to land high-paying jobs but don't have the experience or the degree requirements. So by using an online course to match their education to employer job descriptions, they're able to land great jobs they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. And since Course Careers was so successful at landing people jobs and so much cheaper than college, people began telling all their friends and family about Course Careers. And in 1 year, we went from doing 0 to 9 million in revenue. And at age 23, I now had 2 million in extra cash just sitting in my bank, but my real net worth was much more than that since we're a tech company. And depending on how the company was valued, in just 1 year, I went from being worth almost 0 to between 50 to 100 million. And my story is one that doesn't get told enough. Most people tell you that you can't get a good job without a degree. You can't be successful without going to college. I'm not a genius, and there's nothing special about me. I didn't grow up in a rich family. I didn't have any connections. I simply followed a better blueprint for being financially successful. A blueprint I think anyone can follow. And if this video resonated with you, hit subscribe. More content coming soon.